Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Now, let's talk about South Africa. Music stars from Nigeria and elsewhere have announced xenophobic attacks reported in South Africa. Air Tanzania has suspended flights to Johannesburg. Madagascar and Zambia are refusing to send their soccer teams to play friendly matches with the South African national team. Nigeria has recalled its ambassador and pulled out of the ongoing World Economic Forum in South Africa. South Africa is facing a backlash after rioters in and around Johannesburg targeted immigrants from other African countries this week, touching their shops and resulting in at least 10 deaths. Now, angry citizens and governments across the continent are lashing out against South Africa and its businesses, denouncing what they call xenophobia. On Tuesday and Wednesday, protesters looted South African-owned businesses in Nigeria and also in Zambia, including ShopRite supermarkets and South African telecommunications giant MTN, forcing the companies to shut down operations temporarily. And on Thursday, the protest spread to the Democratic Republic of Congo and Lubumbashi, where protesters gathered at a South African consulate. South Africa has now closed its diplomatic missions in Nigeria and elsewhere, citing threats. Anti-immigrant sentiment is a long-standing issue in South Africa, where the legacies of colonialism and apartheid run deep, and a political shift has not delivered meaningful change to many poor South Africans. Immigrants from countries like Nigeria, Mozambique, Zambia, Somalia, and Zimbabwe are often regarded by South Africans as competitors for jobs and social services. Well, the whole week we have had this issue of xenophobia in South Africa, with reactions, as I said, across Africa, and people have been very serious in raising their concerns, even if there is also a comic side to it, with one Nigerian saying that he had that an Igbo guy called Xenophobia Njoku was the one who was killed in South Africa. People have a way of finding a comic side to everything. Yeah, there's a very serious matter, and the Nigerian government has put its feet down that this is unacceptable, and certain measures have been taken. But again, let me start with you, Yemi. On this one, you say enough is enough, I'm sure.
I think for me, I'll leave Prof to discuss sort of the international relations aspect of it. I think what's, for me, very important, especially for the middle class and the elite in both countries, is an awareness, or I hope an increased awareness, that if we don't deal with the issues of poverty and inequality, that this is only just the beginning. This has, for me, nothing, and Obi Ezekwesili called it, in her perspective, Afrophobia. She said she hasn't seen any Caucasian, Italian, American, European person being maimed or beaten or slaughtered. That what she sees.
Their shops were targeted. Yeah. Shops owned by Pakistanis, Indians, Italians, they were also affected. They were caught in the crossfire.
But to a degree, and I think to her point, though, that it's not that xenophobia painted as a general hatred of foreigners. Yes. But in its manifestation or execution, the targets are distinctly clear. There is not a wide...
the same color.
And it's not a wide...
Black on black.
Wide brush. So I think that, for me, is really what's important. And especially if we look within the Nigerian context, when people went into the malls during last week, Rough and Tumble is not owned by a South African. Tara is not owned by a South African.
No, you made the point.
And I think so until we're very clear, and the interesting bit about it, as it's from sort of my perspective, if people are angry and frustrated with the economic reality and their lot in life, and they think politicians and those who have elected, who have the mandate to do this work, are beyond reach, then you and I around this table, anybody else who they think is benefiting or is relatively okay,
looks okay.
Become the brunt of attacks. And that's what we need to deal with. And we're not, and I'm not sure that we are talking in those terms. It's become a very much a Nigerian, South African diplomacy, international relations game, rather than really the underlying reason for these challenges.
Yeah. Well, Prof, you were on the morning show earlier this week, and you had even recommended some very strict measures, including saying that South Africans in other parts of Africa should just be deported. and South Africa should be isolated. Are you satisfied with the steps that have been taken by the Nigerian government in particular so far, including sending a special envoy and, threatening to recall the envoy to South Africa?
The word satisfaction implies a fait accompli, meaning that all that has been done, I'm satisfied. No, I'm not satisfied. And I cannot be satisfied because the issue is still critical, it is still there. Negotiations are still on. By the time all the negotiations will have been at a concluding stage, I will be in a position to determine the extent of my satisfaction. All the manifestations in many countries of Africa, musicians refusing to take part in their delicious festival, September 21, and so on and so forth. I think they are perfectly in order. They are there. It is important, I repeat, to send the correct signals to South Africa. There is nothing to suggest, as at this time we are discussing, that the government of South Africa itself is very serious about it.
Indeed.
Well, it's the South African Foreign Affairs Minister says Nigerians are drug dealers and human traffickers.
The implication of that one is to tell you there is nothing wrong.
It's justified, yes.
With the xenophobic or Afrophobic attacks. That's what they are saying. It's an indirect way of not only justifying, but also legitimizing the actions of their people. So please, we need not, we need not behave as if we are foolish people. Messages, please, when a diplomatic statement is made, it is always consciously made. All words, syntax, comma, full stop, they are well looked into before you come into the open to make that pronouncement. Now, if you look at the structure of the statement of the minister, you will discover that it is far away from being apologetic. Yeah. Far away from that. So
she even said that, their laws in South Africa do not make provision for the payment of any compensation, which is one of the demands by the Nigerian government.
Yeah, but you see, that argument, I won't say it is good or it is bad. It only ignores the fact on ground that, look, in the monist school of thought in international law, South Africa accepts, all right, that international law is superior to its domestic law. And even as a dualist school of thought, like Nigeria, which will require the domestication of whatever you might have entered into contractually in international law, you still accept that international law is superior to your municipal law. So if there's a lacuna in the laws of South Africa, the truth is that xenophobia, all right, is not entertained by the international community. So, to the extent that they are not liable, they are mistaken. I have given, for instance, the principle of international responsibility. Okay?
The responsibility to protect.
No, yes, that one is not...
But I want to bring Chike into the conversation. Chike, look, some Nigerians have also made some recommendations as to how the Nigerian government can go about it. They say it's not enough to send a special envoy. They say it's not enough to threaten to recall the ambassador to South Africa. They say it's not enough for the Minister of Foreign Affairs to make statements or the President to insist that this is unfair treatment of Nigerians. They say, one, that there should be nationalization of South African assets in Nigeria. And that's the chairman of the APC, the ruling party, saying that. They say, two, that South African Airways should be stopped from flying to Lagos and Abuja. They say, three, all South African companies in Nigeria or businesses related should not be allowed to repatriate funds any further. What do you think? You are involved in business.
Well, you see, the problem is, okay, Yemi has looked at it from the point of view of the social factors in the country. What are we doing in Nigeria that makes our people run away from here and make this place so unbearable that we have our citizens in Libya trying to go over the ocean? We see them dying every day, and then we have over 800,000 Nigerians in Johannesburg or in South Africa, in Hillsborough or wherever they are. How many South Africans are there altogether in Nigeria? So you can see that we have a problem with Nigeria. You know, that I'm happy that was, you know, her own point. Then, of course, Prof, being the international diplomat he is, has given us the whole idea of international responsibility and all that should be done. But basically, for me, the way I want to look at it is two-pronged. One, what are we being confronted with here? What really is the problem? Some say xenophobia, some say agrophobia. But you see, the social media has also a major role to play in what is happening. Because our foreign minister has actually come out, and I saw him say that, look, most of those clips we saw that aggravated even I myself as a person, especially that one, I saw a human being burnt alive. That it was, okay, I think it happened in Joburg, but it happened in 2017.
No, BBC did a special feature on it to say it didn't even happen in Africa at all.
Okay, you see?
Yes.
So you see, those are the issues. We have to know exactly what we are dealing with before we start screaming and talking about nationalization and all those things you are talking about, you know? So if really all the channels, all the diplomatic channels to sort out this whole thing, has it been exhausted? That's the point. I mean, apparently our president has a trip scheduled in October or something. You know, for me, it's simple because whether we like it or not, Nigeria and South Africa have a major role to play in the integration of Africa. Hold on, Prof.
Let
me land.
I'll come back to you, Prof. But let's take this quick break, and then when we come back, we'll come back to that. We'll take a short commercial break now. Don't go away. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Now, Chike, before we went on that commercial break, you were saying you don't believe in this idea of nationalization of assets and all of that. That it doesn't make sense.
I'm saying that should be as a last resort. And then, even before those decisions are taken, on the table, we must know exactly what went wrong. You understand what I'm saying? I think it is critical.
So you think there's a lot of fake news, there's a lot
so
of
much of all that
hate
is going
speech.
on. Because you see, I feel a personal loss in what happened. I have a very good friend whose facility in Surulere was totally vandalized. And I know the amount of investment he put in there. So you see, when these things happen and the chain reaction occurs, and then we visit violence on ourselves, because what are we protesting against? South Africans are killing Nigerians. Then we come here and we start killing and looting our own shops. And then you say nationalizing South African businesses is the solution to that. How can that be? You see, we have to understand what we are dealing with first. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
And once that is clear, then we can go ahead and find the solutions.
That you are itching to still say something.
We are missing the point. In South Africa, Nigerians lost their properties. So put yourself in their position. Secondly, our foreign minister told us that no Nigerian was killed.
Yes, I saw that.
Good. The bitter truth there, go and see various reports. People who came out into the open in the papers to say, look,
so our foreign minister was lying to us?
Well,
he was not aware of the truth.
You see,
of the truth.
this is the issue. When you are condemning social media, it's a travel along.
Because social media has
you as a researcher, you are supposed to.
No, but no, let's speak to this, Prof.
Social media has misinformed us.
But social media is able. Social media is able to misinform us.
Yes.
Because our government fails to inform us.
Yeah, exactly.
And so let's be very clear. So it's very disingenuous of any government official to point fingers at social media when they have not provided counter information.
Cannot be ruled out. You can say.
I didn't say it should
You
be
say
ruled
last
out.
resort. I'm coming. You see, the issue is this: Nigeria and South Africa signed an agreement 1st April 2000.
Chike's point about social media should not be dismissed.
Not at all.
Because there was a report that there was a bomb explosion
in the South
at the
African
South African
Embassy.
High Commission in Abuja,
Which
is not true.
And
Which is,
And the federal government denied it.
If there was a bomb
you
explosion,
don't
there,
need
we would
social
know.
media for analysis of the xenophobic attacks. Let us work on what the South African authorities are saying, and let us look at how...
Nigerians are not responding to what's happening. So are you saying that the looting... No, sir. Are you saying that the looting of Nigerian businesses is a response to what South African authorities are saying?
No, you see, I plead with you to be patient with this way I'm looking at it. Mm-hmm. In Nigeria, those who are protesting, you might have had some hooligans, miscreants joining them and bastardizing South African businesses. That is one aspect of it. But what I'm saying is that if people are asking for nationalization, I will agree with you that that can be as a last resort. But there can still be reciprocal treatment at the level of retention. If you now say South African Airlines, don't come here, don't do this, you can do that one.
Well, I hope we don't get to the point where businesses will be affected, because even if we nationalize, we had the experience in the past. What did we do with those businesses?
Exactly.
You know, is it government that will manage whatever businesses we are nationalized? And then, of course, you know, diplomacy, reason, you know, should prevail rather than emotionalism.
Can I just say something?
Let's take another subject.
Sorry,
because I don't have much time.
Sorry, just to add a statement of fact. One of the things we need to keep in mind, and Mrs. Ezekwesili said this at the special session she was able to convene at WEF. If you look at the context, for example, that 18% of those who teach in South African tertiary institutions are Nigerians, we need to put this thing in better context of just reacting impulsively to some of these issues.
There are Nigerian doctors, there are Nigerian university teachers, there are Nigerians teaching even in you know, secondary schools.
Most of the Nigerian doctors in the rural areas, most of the doctors in the rural areas are Nigerians.
And indeed all over the world.